Hi, I'm John DeVore. Welcome to the channel. Today is to be honest, today's a rant. It's a rant. Well, this Friday, in a couple of days, we're having another concert here at Monkey House. And it got me thinking about the first real concert that we had here at the factory, and which was almost exactly a year ago. It was a concert in commemoration of Black History Month. So it was a string quartet that came and played compositions by African Americans. And so it just got me thinking a little bit about what to talk about this week. And I'm going to go on a little bit of a Black History Month rant. So if you're one of those commenters that for whom you want me to stick to talking about music because I'm clueless about anything else, you feel free to tune out now. For the rest of you, thank you for continuing to watch. Recently, the current administration is very clearly sort of trying to erase a lot of American history. In particular, they're trying to erase a lot of African American history. First of all, why is African American history not American history? It seems to me that the vast majority of the United States of America's history, we had legal chattel slavery. So that should be a part of American history. That is, it's not should be, it is a part of American history. And just thinking about the slogan "Make America Great Again," what are they talking about? When is the great America that they want to recreate? I went to art school and I did a lot of illustration courses, and I actually was an illustrator for a little while in New York. I wouldn't recommend it. And Norman Rockwell, who more than anyone on the planet, I think, illustrated what MAGA idealists imagine the perfect United States to be, right? Norman Rockwell's paintings for the Saturday Evening Post, these beautiful little white families around a Thanksgiving dinner, these freckled little white boys getting a haircut or going to the doctors or the dentist. You know, that's is a perfect illustration of this kind of idea of the perfect white United States. So Norman Rockwell quit the Saturday Evening Post in 1963 because for years he was trying to paint a more realistic version of America. He wanted to include non-white people in his paintings and in his compositions. And the Saturday Evening Post absolutely refused to let Norman Rockwell put anyone other than a white person as the main subject of any of these paintings. So they said, okay, fine, you're allowed to put a black man in this painting, but the black man has to be the waiter on the train, or it has, they could only be put in these sort of second tier servile positions in the compositions. And so finally Norman Rockwell, he said fuck it, and he left the Saturday Evening Post, which is the sweetest gig any illustrator could ever dream of. And he started making paintings that he wanted to make. And the most famous example of that, of course, is that amazing painting of a little girl, Ruby Bridges, being escorted by National Guardsmen while angry white segregationists are throwing tomatoes at her, and she's being escorted to a school that was forced to integrate. Really legendary. But all of his paintings from that point on, from the mid-60s on, after he left Saturday Evening Post, were much more integrated and really reflected a real United States. A United States made up of all sorts of people, a melting pot, a blended culture, and so this is the America that is sort of trying to be erased. What could be more white and American than Top Gun, for example? We got Maverick, Iceman, Goose, all these lily white motherfuckers who clearly were the greatest fighter pilots in the world. So the very first Top Gun competition was held by the armed forces in 1949. And it was won by a team of Tuskegee Airmen led by Lieutenant Colonel James Harvey. The Tuskegee Airmen were a legendary squadron of fighter pilots who were all black. They generally flew planes that were significantly older and a couple of generations less sophisticated and less capable than what the Air Force was actually making. And in fact, in that first Top Gun competition, the Tuskegee Airmen in that competition were forced to compete in planes that were significantly less capable than the planes that all of the white fighter pilots were competing in. And nevertheless, they swept the competition. They won. They were in first place from the very beginning to the very end. It wasn't even a competition. They were so much better in worse planes than any of the white pilots. How come we don't know this? How come I didn't know this. Nobody teaches this in school. So the trophy that was supposed to go to the winning pilots of that first Top Gun competition in 1949, that trophy was stashed in the back of a storage room for 55 years. And Lieutenant Colonel Harvey wasn't recognized publicly as the winner of that competition until the 90s. The US government buried the fact that the greatest pilots in our country in 1949 were black. By the way, Lieutenant Colonel Harvey is still alive. He's over 100 years old. Thank you for your service, sir. So maybe it's the 50s? Maybe the 50s is the ultimate time? So the problem with the 50s is Emmett Till. Emmett Till was a 14-year-old African-American boy who was lynched. He was brutally beaten, hung, shot 100 times. He was lynched in 1951. He was 14 years old. He was innocent. He was lynched by an angry white mob who was under the impression or made themselves believe that Emmett Till had somehow disrespected a white woman with a glance. A 14-year-old little kid. So maybe just after that, Emmett Till is widely recognized as sort of a turning point. Before then, lynchings of African American people in our country were routine. Many thousands of innocent black people were murdered by angry white mobs. And the angry white mobs knew that they could get away with it. Photographs of the mobs, unmasked white people, celebrating, watching, witnessing, hanging out, eating hot dogs in front of a dead African American person hanging from a tree. And none of those people in those photographs, even though clearly identifiable, none of those people were ever prosecuted for any crime. But did you know that there was a lynching of an innocent black teenager in 1981? In 1981, I was in high school. Michael Donald was grabbed by an angry white mob of KKK members and was murdered. He was strung up and hung from a tree and lynched in 1981. This seems like stuff that we should know. As an American, I feel like Americans need to know American history. This isn't black history. This is American history. These are Americans, and these are essential parts of the history of the United States of America. The people who want to white out all of these dark parts of American history, they are trying to rewrite our history so that we're not aware of who we are as Americans. American history and Black American history are a part of who you are as an American. These are things that happened here in this country. These are things that Americans did to Americans. And it's important to know about these things. The current American administration is trying to protect snowflakes, and that is not going to end well. It's widely recognized by most of the planet that the January 6th was a coup attempt in some way or another. Did you know that in America there was a coup? There was a successful coup in America. At the very end of the 19th century, I actually wrote it down. In 1898, the Wilmington massacre, Wilmington, South Carolina, an angry group of white people took over the government in a violent coup, killing and imprisoning the rightfully elected African American politicians, and took control. And we're never taught about that, a successful coup in the U.S., an overthrow of a rightfully elected government by violent means, the Wilmington Massacre. They don't want us to know about that. Look it up. Black History Month. Black history is American history. End of rant. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry to those who think that this kind of stuff should not be on this channel, and not that much of it is, but these are just the facts, ma'am. So happy Black History Month, and I will see you at the next video. Thank you very much.